Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we crack open your source material to unearth the knowledge and insights within. Today, we're diving deep into the first part of the Vanishing at Blackwood Motel. A really chilling narrative you've brought us. It's frankly a masterclass in building dread. Our mission today isn't just to recap the story, though. We want to dissect how this narrative, right from the opening, so effectively manufactures this palpable sense of unease. We'll be trying to extract the specific techniques that make it work so well.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how the story manages that without relying on, cheap jump scares. Instead, it meticulously crafts this world that just feels inherently wrong, almost alive with this subtle, creeping malevolence. So we'll explore the sophisticated cues, the psychological triggers it uses that transform a simple road trip into, well, a descent into a nightmare. It really shows how powerful a story can be when it expertly plays on our deepest fears, those unspoken ones about the unknown, the uncanny.
Right. So settle in, because once we step into Blackwood, there's no telling what analytical tools we might uncover or what unsettling ideas might follow us home. Let's unpack this. Okay, so our story opens. It's October, it's Vermont, and the landscape is immediately described as feeling alive and dead at the same time. We meet Mark and Evelyn Carter, young couple, road trip, heading to a wedding, driving through these endless forests with skeleton-like trees bending in the wind. This isn't just backdrop, is it? It feels like it's actively doing something to the reader or listener.
Precisely. That immediate environmental description, it's crucial. It's a technique you could call atmospheric priming. The narrative isn't just, setting a scene. It's using these subtle, unsettling details like that alive and dead contrast, the skeleton-like trees, to subtly disorient you before anything really bad happens.
Yeah.
So for you, the listener, understanding this kind of priming helps you see how any story, not just horror, can manipulate your emotional state, building suspense, romance, wonder, whatever, purely through describing the environment. It's like it's preloading our subconscious with a feeling.
Okay, so the landscape itself is almost like an unreliable narrator, whispering these warnings. And the conditions are just awful. Relentless rain, thick fog. The GPS is spotty, so Evelyn's using an old map. Meanwhile, Mark is gripping the steering wheel as though it were the only thing keeping him tethered to reality. That's such a vivid image. Puts you right there in their discomfort.
It absolutely does. And that uses a technique, well, really a combination, sensory immersion plus implicit characterization. The bad weather isn't just a plot point. It creates this profound sense of isolation, vulnerability. It makes us feel the encroaching unknown along with them. And Mark's white-knuckled grip, brilliant implicit characterization. Instead of just saying Mark was stressed, the story shows us his internal state through that physical action. It externalizes his anxiety, subtly foreshadows a loss of control, lets you intuitively grasp their psychological state.
And just when you think the environment has done enough, the narrative hits us with this visceral sensory detail, really cements the dread. The wind whips through the car, carrying the smell of wet earth and something else, something faintly metallic, like rust and blood. Then that description of a kind of silence that fills a car when the night begins to feel too alive. That phrase alone, wow, gives me shivers. What's going on there, technically?
Okay, that's a masterful use of sensory dissonance and something I like to call anamorphic silence. That metallic smell, hinting at decay, maybe violence, it completely disrupts our expectation of natural outdoor sense. It's like this olfactory assault that creates unease because it puts something fundamentally wrong into an otherwise normal setting. And the too alive silence, that's genius. It's not just silence, is it? It's described as an active, almost predatory presence. That's the anamorphic silence idea. It twists the expected quiet, making the very air feel like it's holding its breath or maybe listening. It taps into those really primal fears of the unseen, the unheard, suggests the environment itself is hostile, maybe even aware.
So it's like the world around them and us has suddenly shifted. It's not neutral anymore. It's an active participant in their fear. Okay, so with this tension building in the car, they finally spot it. A distant, flickering neon sign, Blackwood Motel vacancy. But this isn't exactly a beacon of hope, is it? It feels ominous right away.
Absolutely not. That sign, it functions as a classic symbol of a threshold, a point of entry. But it's deliberately corrupted. The faded, flickering red and blue lights casting shadows that danced across the surrounding forest like restless spirits. That immediately signals this isn't a sanctuary. It's a great example of visual foreshadowing. The aesthetic itself hints at something wrong, and the description that it felt like it was waiting, that gives the motel agency almost this predatory anticipation. So you, the listener, you're already primed to see this welcome as, well, anything but.
Yeah, waiting is such a loaded word there. And when they pull into the gravel driveway, the sound detail, the crunch of tires on loose stones echoed unnaturally, like it bounced forever before fading into silence. And the building itself, a decaying relic, faded green paint peeled from its wooden siding, overgrown bushes pressed close, like the forest is trying to reclaim it. Even the quiet feels wrong.
That sound detail is excellent. It uses auditory emphasis to highlight the isolation, the unnatural stillness. But focusing on the building, that's prime environmental storytelling.
Right.
And you could even call it architectural horror. The decay isn't just neglect, it feels active. The peeling paint, the encroaching wilderness. It suggests a place that's kind of outside of normal time, a structure being consumed. It blurs that line between the man-made and the wild, untamed forces.
Yeah.
And that creates this psychological cold. It's not about temperature. It's an inherent wrongness that just seeps into your bones, telling you this whole environment is profoundly hostile.
So it's not just run down. It feels like it's actively fighting itself or being overwhelmed by something. Okay, they step inside. The air, heavy, musty, smells of damp carpets and decayed wood, standard creepy place smell. And then behind this old dark oak front desk stands Walter, described as pale, sunken eyes. And the detail that got me, he didn't blink.
Walter, yeah, his introduction is textbook deployment of the uncanny valley effect in character design. By giving us this figure that is almost human but not quite, the unblinking stare, the voice low like he was speaking underwater, lips barely moving, the narrative taps right into our innate discomfort. We're wired to recognize human faces, right? Respond to cues. When those cues are off, distorted, it creates this deep unease. It's often more disturbing than an outright monster because it messes with our core understanding of what's normal.
Yeah, it's that basic human instinct to connect, just broken by something fundamentally off. He just says, room 6. Hands mark a single brass key. And the key is cold, heavy, and it felt alive, almost pulsing in Mark's hand. Wow. And even when Mark tries small talk, Walter just stares. His eyes are dark, almost hollow. And his final whispered repetition, first floor, room 6, that last word dragging, that really lands hard.
That's a brilliant shift, isn't it, towards object animism and psychological imposition. The key becoming this active, almost sentient thing. It externalizes their internal dread, makes the threat tangible. It's not just a key anymore. It's like a conduit for whatever malevolence is in the motel. And Walter's lack of response, his whispered, dragging repetition of room 6, it works almost like a verbal hypnosis, or just a direct, inescapable warning, and that detail that their feet stick in place, that highlights paralysis by fear, a really common primal response to overwhelming dread that just strips away your agency. It tells us they want to leave, but something internal, maybe external, won't let them.
So the external threats are now starting to manifest internally, affecting their actual will. Okay.
Yeah.
The hallway to room 6. No less unsettling. Dimly lit, flickering sconces, wallpaper that's yellowed, peeling at the corners like old skin. And the carpet is thick, faded burgundy and damp in places. Every detail just keeps ratcheting up the creepiness.
Indeed. We're moving now from the big picture environmental stuff to micro-level decay. Every single detail in this confined space reinforces this pervasive sense of, organic rot. Active malevolence, the wallpaper peeling like old skin, the damp carpet, it all contributes to this feeling of sickness, of things literally falling apart. And the weak lamp barely pushing back shadows that move slightly as if breathing. That introduces subjective horror. The environment is now messing with their perception, making the room itself feel alive, unwell.
And then Evelyn notices something really chilling on the nightstand. Deep carvings in the wood. The words, "Don't stay past midnight." Mark, trying to be rational, says it's probably just a bored guest. But Evelyn feels the letters are deliberate, angry. And that's a direct warning, isn't it? Cuts right through all the subtle atmosphere building.
It is, yeah, and that contrast is crucial. This carving, it acts as a direct, explicit warning, a clear prophecy of doom right there amidst all the nuance. And Evelyn's immediate gut reaction, her intuition picking up on the deliberate, angry nature of it, that's vital. It highlights how the narrative contrasts that rational denial, Mark's reaction, with this primal, intuitive fear. Suggests Evelyn is maybe more attuned to what's really going on. Meanwhile, you've got those amplifying small noises, the dripping faucet, creaking radiator, the storm humming outside, that all contributes to auditory escalation. Makes the room feel more claustrophobic, more alive, reinforcing her unease.
Okay, the atmosphere's thick, the warnings are getting clearer. Then the first truly personal encounter for Evelyn, in the bathroom. The light flickers violently. Her reflection in the old warped mirror looks slightly wrong, too pale, eyes too large. Then, for a fleeting moment, she thought she saw another face behind hers. Classic horror trope, but really effective here.
Oh, yeah. That moment uses distorted self-perception and the invasion of personal identity, which is incredibly unsettling. The warped reflection, the other face, it shatters Evelyn's sense of safety, her sense of self, really. It's not just an external threat anymore. It's directly challenging her reality, her identity. Makes the threat internal, too. It's a classic doppelganger thing, but used expertly here to make her question her own sanity. That's powerful psychological horror.
Right, making the threat not just about what's out there, but what's happening to her, inside her head. Okay,
Yeah.
what happens next? A soft scratching noise from under the bed, described as slow, intentional. Mark checks, finds nothing, but the carpet beneath is wet in patches. That's weird. And the rain outside picks up, described as a drumbeat of warning.
This is the narrative shifting again, from purely psychological unease to unseen threat manifestation through maybe tactile horror. The scratching, plus those inexplicable wet patches. It provides physical evidence, even if it's subtle, of some unseen malevolent presence. It forces them and you to confront this tangible, inexplicable violation of their space. It's not just a feeling anymore. Something is there.
Gotcha.
And the storm, intensifying outside, acts as a pathetic fallacy. It directly mirrors their growing internal turmoil and the external threat. Amplifies the sense that the whole world is kind of conspiring against them.
So yeah, undeniable evidence now that something is very wrong. As midnight approaches, Evelyn can't sleep. The clock ticks with an exaggerated, hollow sound. The scratching returns, louder, from the bathroom this time. She goes to the door, looks at the mirror, and words appear, "Get out!" And crucially, that pale face appears behind her reflection again. Hollow eyes, mouth stretched in a silent scream. This is it, isn't it? The point of no return.
Absolutely. This is the story's clear, accelerated supernatural manifestation, the definitive shift from hint to direct confrontation. The warning goes from a static carving to an active, menacing message appearing right before her eyes. And that terrifying face, it solidifies the threat completely. It's an undeniable, direct, supernatural encounter, shatters any attempt left at rationalization, and it forces Evelyn's realization. I think we need to leave. That cements her agency in finally acknowledging the danger. For the listener, it's the payoff for all that built-up tension.
So they spend the rest of the night awake, huddled together, whispering, listening to the building groan, every sound amplified. Evelyn notices the shadows moving differently now, stretching toward them, curling at the edges, almost trying to reach them. Even Mark, the rational one, feels it now.
Yeah, that's a powerful demonstration of psychological enclosure and an active environment.
Yeah.
The shadows becoming dynamic, predatory. It transforms the room into this sentient prison, emphasizes that feeling of being watched, hunted, enclosed. And even Mark, the pragmatist, he can no longer deny the feeling that something was in the room with them, something waiting, watching, patient. It shows how pervasive the horror had become. It's eroded even the most logical defenses, trapped them not just physically but psychologically too.
And just as that dread really sinks in, a lightning flash illuminates the room. And for one brief moment, Evelyn thought she saw Walter standing in the doorway, staring. Blink, and he's gone. Hallway's empty. Leaves you wondering what's real, what's not.
That fleeting glimpse, it expertly uses ambiguity and supernatural suggestion. Was he really there? Was it a hallucination born of pure terror? It just blurs those lines between reality and nightmare, cements Walter's role as either supernatural himself or like an extension of the motel's malice. It reinforces that idea that they are truly trapped. No escape. The building, its inhabitants, they're actively involved in tormenting them, seals them in their fear, makes them feel hunted.
And that's where we leave Mark and Evelyn, hearts hammering, waiting for dawn, in a moment where the story flat out declares the Blackwood Motel had already chosen them.
Yeah. This initial deep dive into the Vanishing at Blackwood Motel, it really shows us how a masterful narrative builds dread. It's not just about scary moments. It's about employing these sophisticated techniques, atmospheric priming, sensory dissonance, the uncanny valley, psychological enclosure, every element setting, atmosphere, character interactions, sensory details. It's all meticulously crafted to create this terrifying, inescapable experience. It really ensures you, the listener, feel that tension rising right alongside Mark and Evelyn, from that first metallic smell to the final, terrifying glimpse of Walter.
So what does this all mean for you listening? It means the next time you find yourself genuinely unnerved by a story, don't just ask what scared you. Ask how the storyteller pulled it off. Was it a jump scare? Or was it that slow, insidious erosion of safety through atmospheric priming? Or maybe a disturbing character hitting that uncanny valley spot? Paying attention to these small details lets you dissect the craft, appreciate the genius behind really powerful storytelling.
Precisely. And this story reminds us that sometimes the most terrifying threats aren't the ones that jump out. They're the ones that slowly, insidiously creep into your mind, make you question everything around you. It's about that erosion of safety, the blurring lines between reality and nightmare, and that chilling realization that some places, some things, are just beyond explanation, turning a simple shelter into a place of profound, inescapable dread.
Indeed. And with that door creaking slowly open, metaphorically speaking, we're left with the chilling question. Will Mark and Evelyn make it through the night? Or has the Blackwood Motel already decided their fate? Join us next time for more deep dives.